Joining us now is someone who just returned from Cairo, Egypt, who has been visiting the pyramids and conducting interviews at Giza. OjyOkpe, with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
You just know how to cheer me up. And you were so serious earlier. How are you this morning?
Good.
I am happy to be back. I missed you both. I miss Ayo. How are you, Rufai? Yes, it was a great event, great turnout. The Intra-Trade Africa Fair was hosted by the government of Egypt in collaboration with Afrexim Bank, African Union Commission, and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. It was a 7-day event connecting African markets. The event ended with high energy. There was exhibitions from around the world where businesses profiled their products and services. There was also the IATF Exhibitor Stand Awards, recognizing the hard work of the exhibitors. The Nigerian Pavilion won the most extraordinary experimental stand. Then there was the Creative Arts Nexus, CANEX, which showcased a vibrant display of the best Africa has to offer in music, visual arts, sports, fashion, dance, film, and gastronomy, which was indeed successful. Well, the closing ceremony was the highlight of the week, and the final takeaway from the event is that African nations must work together to address the challenges of trade integration. Dr. Bati Rufai, I mean, for me, it was, the presence of the president, the Egyptian president on Monday there. It was such a high security turnout at that point where, it's great that they hosted the event, and it's great that they accepted all African nations to be able to help them invest in their businesses and, like I said, trade integration. But I stayed in Egypt because I wanted to go to Luxor, which is the Valley of Kings. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go there. I had some issues with, connecting flights and all of that. But here, I visited the Sphinx. I also, took a ride on the camel. I wish you saw our technical guy who was also on the camel there. Mm-hmm. And also, I brought you guys a few things. I visited the Museum of National Civilization there. I saw a lot of mummies, about 25 mummies. The most famous mummy there was Ramses II. And I'll tell you why, Dr. Abate. I'm sure you will love this. It is because he had about 45 wives. And it's amazing. He had more, but of course, we're talking about these pharaohs. I mean, these pharaohs are iconic. I'm very excited that I went to Egypt, but also I brought you guys a few things. I got you guys some street art.
That's lovely.
Yes, absolutely. And I brought a few of them. I also brought for the producers. I don't know if you can see. I would love for you guys to choose what you would like.
Papyrus.
Papyrus, yes. So we got a few of those there. And for me, the Egyptian Museum was the visit of Tutankhamun. And guess what? The Sun King. I mean, he is one of the most famous pharaohs because obviously he became a king at the age of 9 and he, died at the age of 19. But I got a few for the producers as well. And this is my wrap-up of my trip in Egypt. Dr. Abati.
Well, Egypt, we always say, the Egyptologists insist, is a cradle of civilization.
Absolutely.
And you had a chance to interview one of the most famous Egyptologists, known to scholarship. And it was good that you also visited the pyramids.
Yes.
What is Egypt? If you go to Egypt, you don't visit the pyramids.
Yeah.
You've not been there.
Absolutely.
You were at Giza. And you also had the opportunity to have a boat ride on the Nile.
On the Nile,
the longest river in Africa. And Nile is so important to Egypt that Egypt is ready to go to war, over the Nile, which is a major route for trade. And then, of course, the museums. Now, the interesting thing about the Egyptians is that they preserve history.
Yes.
It's not just ancient history, but also modern history. These, they are museums. They have one museum called the Museum of War or something, where they documented all the wars that Egypt has been through. And that's a lesson we need to learn.
Absolutely.
Tourism is an important part of their economy as a result of this. People go there because everything is properly documented. That's Tutankhamun that was shown there. There's Akhenaton,
yes.
you know, all those pharaohs. So Nefertiti, you know, all that history is preserved to give a country identity, you know, to connect it, to connect the past to the present to the future. Here in Nigeria, we don't pay enough attention to history, to legacy, to monuments. We have Department of Museums and Monuments, but those departments are not properly funded. When I was in Benin many years back, okay, in Benin, they even tried. We had a museum at the Ring Road that you could go to. But go to Lagos here. What is the status of the museum in Lagos? Every major town in Nigeria is supposed to have a museum to preserve our history.
Absolutely.
So maybe there are lessons that we can learn also in that cultural aspect of our relationships with other countries. But of course, you went there for a conference that is talking about trade, investment, collaboration, cooperation, integration in Africa. And this is an important theme, you know, being pushed by Afrexim Bank, by the African Union Commission, and also by the African Development Bank, led by Dr. Additional. So you have Professor Rama and Dr. Akinwumi Additional in the last few weeks, you know, pushing the envelope, you know, in that respect. With regard to the African Free Continental Trade Agreement, you know, all of this is important. And it takes leadership for African leaders to come together, to go beyond conferences, to give full effect to this integration so that Africa can be properly centered in global trade, and Africa can do business, intra-African trade can also be promoted. Not that when you want to go to Mali, you first of all go to France and come back to Mali, because part of our challenge with integration in Africa is transportation, is infrastructure.
Yes.
And I just hope that beyond these conferences, concrete action will be taken, actionable plans will be defined, targets and timelines. That's what Africa needs to do going forward.
Well, kudos to the entire team at that trade fair. I mean, Shetu Atigari did a wonderful package, Nigerian Pavilion winning an award there. And you, Dr. Vati, won an award. Where is your award? Oh, Your Excellence. Where is your award? I missed that. Congratulations on your award.
Well, and of course, your good friend.
Yes, also won an award. Well, also congratulations to Bosan Omofaye, our senior business anchor and exchange anchor. We all were there and covering that event. It was a phenomenal time. Well, let's continue on what's trending. Following up on the visa cancellations of over 400 Nigerians traveling to Saudi Arabia on Air Peace Airlines, Africa's largest private airline. The Saudi Arabia embassy last week announced that the visas were issued in error. However, the federal government of Nigeria is yet to announce the findings of investigations carried out on the matter, as reports are being made that Saudi Air continues to convey Nigerian passengers with the same visa category. Well, in the meantime, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, on Sunday stated that Emirates Airlines will soon announce the exact date of their resumption of flight operations into Nigeria. The minister made the statement in a post on X, stating that he spoke with representatives of the airline on the sidelines of the Dubai Air Show, where he also visited pavilions of leading aviation and aerospace industries around the world. Keyamo added that he took a valuable cue from the event towards ongoing efforts at organizing Nigerians' own version of the air show in 2024. Rufai, I'm coming over to you. I mean, it just appeared that Festus Keyamo is now the spokesman for other, airlines and airline industries. I mean, he did give credit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in fostering that, resumption, alleged resumption as we speak. But also something that got me was the fact that he talked about that air show. The air show, he says it will happen in Lagos. I don't know what the benefit of that is in Nigeria at this point. I mean, is that our focus? The fact that Nigerians were turned back based on, this visa category allegations, and we are hearing reports that the Saudi Air continues to convey passengers with the same visa category just seems quite awkward. And I feel like this is where the minister should focus on at this point. Our relationship.
So pretty much he can do two things at a time. Yeah. He can still go ahead, organize his air show next year if he wants to, if that's his priority. but also focus on the airline sector in Nigeria. The airline sector in Nigeria needs a lot of focus. It looks as things are falling apart as we speak. Till date, we've not been able to have a holistic investigation into really what happened in Saudi. If they're saying it's aeropolitics and the likes, then what are our authorities trying to do to be able to cushion the tide of all of this aeropolitics? It's incumbent on them to do something quickly. Concerning the visa, in fact, it was said that there was a particular family that was split, that they went through the Saudi Arabian airline, that they got them in. But that same visa issue happens to the other batch of the family. And what they keep on saying is the fact that, okay, some Nigerians use this business visa and they go ahead and stay there and the Saudi authorities don't want them. But they still accepted them if it was an airline that came in, from their own country. Yeah. So these are the things that the minister should look at critically. Also, the state of our airports and our airline sector in general. We've had 2 near mishaps. Planes skidding off the runway and things like that. These are issues you should look at.
So, Rufai, that point you just made is very valid. Yeah. Because now, if you want to do an air show, is that infrastructure going to be in place before the air show? Because, I mean...
So I would have wanted him more to focus on these things. The air show is just jamboree. It's economies that have their heads together that do the air show. Yeah. But it is time for him to also persistently look at the problems in the air sector. I think maybe it was just a happy moment thing, in the middle of all of that. Which will do our air show, we'll call you,
In 2024.
No. See, it's just a 1-day jamboree or 2-day jamboree or 1-week jamboree. Right. But the most important thing is we should build sectors. I think I remember during the Buhari administration, there was a partnership that this same Mr. Hadi Sireka said he brought, that we were supposed to have a joint partnership with some company from Hungary or something, where they were supposed to be assembly places in Nigeria. What happened to partnerships like that? I think these are things we should look at and see how we can build our air sector.
Absolutely. Dr. Vati, quickly.
Okay, well, the thing to talk about here is that the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development says that he met with officials of Emirates Airlines and that they are likely to announce very soon when they will return to Nigeria. Just to give the background, in 2022, Emirates Airlines decided to suspend flights to Nigeria. For what reason? They said their revenue was trapped in Nigeria, about $85 million, which they could not repatriate because of foreign exchange problems. Some assurances were given. They came back. That was in May. The first time was May, they returned. Then, of course, in August, they said they were going back again. They were suspending their flights again. And since then, the Nigerian government has been trying to find a way to get the Emirates Airlines to return to the Nigerian route. However, airline operators of Nigeria, the local indigenous stakeholders, have a different opinion. They claim that Emirates Airlines is asking for favoritism, right? They just want to be favored to the disadvantage of local airlines that are also flag carriers on the international route. And that whatever the Nigerian government is going to do for Emirates Airlines, it must also do for local airlines, that's Nigerian-owned airlines. If they are going to give assist Emirates Airlines or any other foreign airline with access to Forex, then they must do the same thing for local airlines. So the minister, in saying, they've promised that at a certain time, that date when they will return has not been announced. When President Tinubu visited, there was so much enthusiasm that Emirates Airlines was going to resume flights. It didn't happen, okay? Now, secondly, the Minister of Aviation must always pay attention to the details of the bilateral services, air services agreement that we sign with these countries. If Emirates Airlines is going to operate a certain frequency into Nigeria, on the basis of the principle of reciprocity, Nigerian flag carriers too must be able to operate the same frequency into the United Arab Emirates. Our minister and our government must not do anything that will be to the disadvantage of Nigerian Airlines. The same case we will make with trips to UAE is the same case that should be made for Saudi Arabia. It's the same case that should be made for trips to London. If British Airways is coming to Nigeria 5-7 days a week, Nigerian flag carriers must also be able to enter London to and fro, 7 days a week. That is what is important. So it's not enough to just say Emirates Airlines, they will soon put a date to it, so we should be jubilating. There are basic issues that must be worked out, that must be in the interest of Nigerian passengers and also of Nigerian flag carriers.
Well said, Dr. Abati. We'll take another story. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo Olu, has commended the efforts of Guinness World Record holder and professional slackliner, Roose, after he captured a perfect Lagos selfie while walking on a line from Sterling Towers to the Onome Rig. In a post on Instagram, the governor described Lagos as an epitome of creativity and congratulated Roose for his expertise in slacklining and balance training while showcasing Lagos' vibrant spirit. Well, here is Roose on the line before he took the selfie.
Of all my people, I dey Lagos, Kilonchele. I dey find the perfect Lagos selfie. Oya now.
I loved this video. I mean, congratulations to him. He's been doing a fantastic job all over the world. No, you have to be an expert, Rufai, before you try that. It takes a lot. Well, all right.
And please don't try that at home.
Don't try it at home.
Please.
He's a professional and a Guinness World Record holder. Well, in the meantime, Funsho Doherty, the 2023 governorship candidate of the Action Democratic Congress in Lagos State, has criticized the governor of the state over public procurement awards in the second and third quarters of 2023, highlighting a number of contracts for further scrutiny. In a post on X, Doherty wrote an open letter to Sanwo Olu appealing for the judicious use of public funds, especially in the face of the current economic realities. Well, according to him, the approval of 2 billion naira for rechargeable fans, lights and fridge for the office of the deputy governor, as well as 18.5 million naira awarded to the office of the chief of staff to the governor for the supply and distribution of 2,000 chickens across local government areas of the state calls for further explanation. Other awards includes a new bulletproof vehicle worth 440 million naira for the office of the chief of staff and 531 million naira for the renovation of an Anglican church. Well, the governorship candidate also questioned why the state will be renovating a religious center with taxpayers' money. There is more, Dr. Abati. I believe you guys took this in the business segment. He also questioned the allocation of 12.4 billion naira for the consultancy fees for the Lagos Megacity project and construction of bus corridors in selected locations across the state. Talking about cutting expenditure to save money. Over in Malawi, the country's president, Lazarus Chakwera, has suspended all international travels for himself and his government with immediate effect, and also ordered all ministers currently abroad to return home. The president also slashed fuel allowances for senior government officials by 50%. The measure follows a huge devaluation of the country's currency as the economy is faced with turbulent times and acute shortage of petrol and diesel, as well as high inflation.
I myself have to lead by example. This is why, effective immediately, all of my international trips between now and the end of the fiscal year, beginning with my trip to COP28 at the end of this month, are canceled. Secondly, I order that all fuel entitlements for cabinet ministers, principal secretaries, directors, and all members of senior management of public institutions should be cut in half with immediate effect. Thirdly, until further notice, I order the Secretary of the President and Cabinet to circulate to all public institutions a criteria for local trainings and local travel that will be acceptable, as well as a cap on how much of their budgets can be spent on allowances for such trainings and trips. By doing this, I am effectively ending the practice of draining public coffers to spend on allowances for useless activities.
President Chakwera there. I mean, we have also taken the Zambian president also talking about cutting costs in the face of the economic realities in Nigeria at the moment. I thought that soundbite was quite important, talking about Lagos and the money spending, and we are still waiting for the Lagos state government to release a statement in regards to all of these accusations by Mr. Funsho Doherty. I believe that we have to go live to Berlin at this point, where President Tinubu is speaking. Dr. Abati?
Yes, President Tinubu is speaking at the G20 Compact with Africa conference holding in Berlin. And that's him on the screen there.
Youth and well-educated population that is available is enough to attract. In every business, human resources is a great capital incentive for investors. Yes, rule of law is a must, because business, yes, may be cowardly. If you are bogged down in bigger, bureaucratic problems, you might not have the necessary investment that you expect. We are reforming the rule of law. We are adhering to that, and we definitely will continue to promote the opportunity given today by Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, His Excellency Tinubu.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu there at the G20 Compact with Africa conference, focusing on trade, energy, infrastructure, advanced countries and developing countries, and the European Union and the African Union, international organizations, non-governmental organizations, at that fourth investment summit of the G20. But back in the studio here, we still have OjyOkpe.
Yes, absolutely.
So back to you.
All right. Well, should we just head over to Liberia before we take our final story, highlighting the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who you saw there, has commended President George Weah of Liberia for conceding defeat to Joseph Boakai, his opponent in the just concluded Liberia presidential election. Well, on Friday, after Boakai was announced winner by the National Elections Commission, George Weah described his lead as insurmountable and expressed his commitment to working with him for the betterment of Liberia. Well, in a statement by presidential spokesperson Ajuri Ngelale, Tinubu commended Weah for demonstrating uncommon leadership by conceding the election and averting any form of social political crisis. I mean, Dr. Bati, I would like to join you in congratulating former President Goodluck Jonathan, who turned 66. I mean, he will be considered one of our heroes for conceding defeat and saying that he was doing it to avoid a bloodbath. I mean, this is what we need to see. Also would like to congratulate Liberia as well for their, emergence of their new president. Rufai, quickly.
Right. I mean, kudos to George Weah. And I think this is a tale for African leaders. When George Weah got in, he came in with a lot of expectations. People loved him. People wanted him to do well. People were rooting for him. But once he didn't do well, all of that goodwill changed. He was a hero, was a football star, but all of that goodwill changed. And guess what? The people that voted and rooted for him a couple of years ago voted him out. But I like the way he did. That's a great spirit of sportsmanship. The capacity to be able to accept defeat for the furtherance of his nation. And I think every leader should learn from that. Also, other things, like I raised with Professor Akinyemi, was the fact that the electoral process. We didn't hear about ballot box and papers being tampered with or result sheets being filled in before the election started itself. We didn't hear all of that shenanigan. There was truly independence and transparency with the electoral body in Liberia. And that's one thing our electoral bodies too should be able to learn here. Our electoral body should be able to learn here. As it is today, Liberia has led the way as regards the election. Other African countries too has led the way.
Right.
When are we going to have elections where people, will not go ahead and cast aspersions at? You see, we keep talking about congratulatory speeches and everything. If an election is fair and fair, the opponent will be easy to congratulate you. Professor Goodluck Jonathan was quick to congratulate President Buhari in 2015 because the elections were marginally fair.
Were marginally fair.
You get. But in this regard, we have a lot of questions being raised as regards the electoral process. Look at what happened in Kogi. So let's also learn from it.
Oh, well, all right. Okay, well, shall we take our final story then? Well, the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, over the weekend, vowed that members of his cabinet, including commissioners who allegedly betrayed him during the November 11th governorship election in the state, will not go unpunished. Bello made the comment while speaking with APC stakeholders at a closed-door meeting in Lokoja. During the meeting, Bello described many of his allies as enemies within who were plotting to pull him down because of his choice of Usman Ododo as his successor, despite all he has sacrificed for them. Well, last week, Usman Ododo received his certificate of return at the INEC headquarters in Lokoja and presented it to Yahaya Bello while kneeling in the presence of his supporters, as we'll see in this video that has now gone viral. Let's take a look.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, no. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here. For top time. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Congratulations, sir. Thank you.
Well, all right, Dr. Bati, this gesture has gone viral.
Because we're running out of time.
Yes.
Well, I noticed that you were stressing the point about kneeling down,
yes.
that Usman Ododo was kneeling down.
Because of
when
that's
the governor,
why it went viral.
the godfather, the white lion of Kogi, Governor Yahaya Bello, had already said some people betrayed him and, they will not go unpunished for not supporting the party. And then the man that was anointed, that had won, the favored person, I think given the political culture and the structure of relationship between godfathers and their boys, I think Usman Ododo acted wisely.
Yes, absolutely.
By kneeling down, it shows that he's a wise, obedient, loyal boy who has been put in the place by his godfather. So I don't think he should be criticized.
Yes.
It shows that he's wise.
Yes.
He doesn't want the Semen Fubara treatment.
Yes.
Semen Fubara, because he started carrying his head up. Former Governor Wike had to remind him, I put you there.
Absolutely.
Where were you when I did all the work?
Absolutely.
So Usman Ododo is showing that he will be very calm.
Let's hope.
And the godfather, the white lion, will be very happy.
We'll see at the end
but
of
the Yorubas have to say that kneeling down or prostrating doesn't mean
at least publicly, he showed
that
gratitude.
Obedient. Well, all right. I'd like to thank you both for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.